All right. Welcome in, everybody. You know the drill.
To the deep dive.
The deep dive. That's right.
It's what we do.
You've got something you're wrestling with.
A challenge you're facing.
Maybe it's keeping you up at night.
Send it our way.
And we're going to dig in.
Roll up our sleeves.
Get down in the dirt.
And hopefully extract
some seriously useful insight.
That'll leave you just a bit smarter.
And maybe just a bit more equipped to tackle whatever it is that's got you, well, stumped.
Exactly.
And this time around, we're tackling something that's on, I think, a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Especially for those of us navigating this, digital jungle gym we all seem to be living in.
It's a jungle out there.
How do businesses, how do we actually grab and, more importantly, I think, hold on to people's attention?
When it feels like.
When there's a new notification popping up every other second,
That's
right?
the million-dollar question.
Yeah, and to help us crack the code on this attention enigma.
We've got a fantastic guide.
We do?
A book called Day Trading Attention.
Ooh, I like that title, Day Trading Attention.
It's catchy, right?
It is.
But it's also really apt.
How so?
Because think about it. In the stock market, you're constantly looking for those opportunities, those little shifts and trends that can help you, well, make a profit.
You got to be quick on your feet.
And attention is kind of the same way.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection.
Where people are focusing their mental energy, what's grabbing their eyeballs, it's always in flux.
So you got to be
agile.
Oh, there you go.
This book, it's like your cheat sheet to understanding where that attention is right now and how you can, tap into it.
So not just about throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Not anymore.
It's about being a bit more
strategic.
There we go. Strategic.
Like having a secret weapon in the battle for, well,
the eyeballs, I guess.
Exactly.
And to help us unpack all of this,
we've got
some pros in the house.
Nick and Sarah
from the WisDone podcast. If you're looking for practical wisdom,
delivered in a way that's
engaging, entertaining, and, dare I say,
a little bit fun,
you've come to the right place.
They're the masters of taking these big, sometimes intimidating concepts.
The kind that make you want to just close the book and take a nap.
Exactly.
And breaking them down into bite-sized, actionable pieces.
That you can actually use in your life, in your business.
And they do it all while keeping things light and, friendly.
But always with a touch of humor.
So, without further ado,
let's dive in.
Let's dive in with Nick and Sarah to this whole idea of day trading attention.
Because the way we get noticed, the way we connect, it's changed, hasn't it?
I think it's safe to say, yeah, things are different.
It's not just about yelling your message from the rooftops and hoping someone hears you.
Not anymore.
It's so much more nuanced than that.
Definitely more complex.
It's about understanding the currents, the flows of attention.
Okay, so how has it changed?
Well, what's fascinating, and think about your own experience with this, is how much the landscape has shifted.
Even in the past, 15 years, 20 years?
Even less. The book actually highlights this. Back in 2009, when Crush It came out, social media was still this new frontier.
People were debating whether it was a fad, right?
Exactly. Some saw it as a powerful tool for business. Others thought it was a distraction, a waste of time.
I remember those days, a lot of skepticism.
Fast forward to now,
and well,
it's pretty much a given.
You got to be on social media.
If you're not, you're practically invisible.
So the debate has shifted.
The real challenge, the book points out, is not whether to be on these platforms, but how to use them effectively.
How to stand out.
How to cut through the noise.
Because just having a profile?
It's not enough anymore.
It's like having a storefront.
In the middle of the desert.
No foot traffic.
You gotta have a strategy.
You gotta draw people in. And that's where this concept of day trading attention comes into play. Okay, let's unpack that a bit. Day trading attention. What does that actually mean?
It's about being adaptable, right?
Like a chameleon.
Exactly. You're constantly assessing the situation, figuring out where the opportunities are.
Where the eyeballs are.
And then adjusting your approach accordingly.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Absolutely not. It's dynamic. It's fluid.
You're constantly buying and selling, metaphorically speaking.
You're trying to identify where the value is, where the attention is undervalued, and then capitalize on it.
And the book gives some pretty compelling examples of this in action, right?
Oh, yeah, some really great ones.
Remember that Ocean Spray TikTok video?
The one with the guy skateboarding, drinking cranberry juice?
Fleetwood Mac playing in the background?
That's the one.
That thing went viral.
Exploded.
It was everywhere.
And for those of you who might not remember, or maybe weren't even on TikTok back then.
It was just this guy.
Just cruising along.
Totally chill vibes.
Enjoying his cranberry juice.
And it felt so authentic, so genuine.
Nothing forced, nothing overproduce.
It just resonated.
And the impact was huge.
Huge for Ocean Spray, right?
Sales skyrocketed.
Even Fleetwood Mac got a boost. Dreams shot back up the charts.
A song from, what, the 70s?
Crazy, right?
And here's the kicker.
There's a kicker.
The guy who made the video, he almost didn't post it.
No way.
He had second thoughts, thought it was too simple, too random.
But then,
He remembered some advice he'd heard.
about just putting your stuff out there because you never know.
What might catch fire?
I love that. That's such a powerful reminder for all of us. Sometimes we overthink things. We get in our own way.
Analysis paralysis.
Exactly. But sometimes you just got to hit publish, hit send, and see what happens.
You never know who you might connect with.
And the book mentions some other examples too, right?
Yeah, there's the story of Trapsticks.
That lip balm company.
Yep, they got a ton of attention, a ton of sales.
From a video that just kind of...
Took off unexpectedly.
And then there's the dad.
Whose novel became a bestseller.
Because of his daughter's video.
Yep, she was just talking about how much she loved the book.
Boom, instant success.
These weren't elaborate marketing campaigns.
These were just...
genuine moments.
that captured people's attention.
And that's what's so fascinating about modern advertising.
It's not always about the big budget productions
Sometimes it's the unexpected, the authentic.
that really cuts through.
And so many businesses, maybe you've seen this too, they're still stuck in the old ways of thinking.
Still clinging to those.
Outdated methods.
Pouring money into
Billboards, TV commercials,
print ads
while missing out on these incredible opportunities.
that are happening right now, online,
They're playing checkers.
while everyone else is
It's
playing.
three-dimensional chess.
And the book touches on this resistance to new platforms, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
That skepticism we often have towards anything that feels, I don't know, unfamiliar.
Like TikTok? That's just for teenagers.
Or LinkedIn. That's just for job seekers.
I'm not going to waste my time with that.
But the book makes a really interesting point
It compares this resistance.
to the way people reacted to technologies that are now, well, essential.
Think about television when it first came out.
People thought it was a fad.
A silly distraction.
Same with Google Ads.
People thought, why would I pay to have my website show up at the top of a search results page?
And even just having a website in the first place.
Or using email for business.
All of these things were met with,
Skepticism, doubt, even ridicule.
but look at them now.
They're ubiquitous. They're essential.
So the lesson here is
Don't dismiss the new just because it's new.
be open to exploring, experimenting.
Because the next big thing might be right around the corner.
And you don't want to be left behind.
Playing catch up.
Okay, so the attention landscape has clearly gone through a pretty dramatic makeover.
It's a whole new ball game.
And the book digs into this concept of organic reach, which I think is really fascinating.
What's their message out there?
Yeah, what's the secret sauce?
Well, what's amazing, and think about this for a second, is that these major social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, they all offer this incredible potential for reaching people.
Without spending a dime on ads.
That's right, organic reach.
Okay, so you're telling me I can get my message in front of millions of people?
Billions, actually.
Billions.
Facebook alone has over 3 billion active monthly users.
That's almost half the planet.
Instagram and YouTube, both over 2 billion.
And LinkedIn.
Over 900 million professionals.
Okay, so we're talking about a truly massive pool of potential attention.
The vast ocean of eyeballs.
And I can access all of this for free.
Well, there's a catch, of course.
There's always a catch.
It's not just about being present on these platforms. It's about being engaging, being relevant.
So just having a profile isn't enough.
It's like having a book on a shelf. No one's going to read it unless they know it's there, unless it catches their eye.
You got to do something to stand out.
You got to create content that people actually want to consume.
Content that...
Valuable, entertaining, informative, inspiring, something that resonates.
So quality over quantity.
Absolutely, but quality in the eyes of your audience, not just your own.
Right. So what I think is good content might not actually be what people want to see.
Exactly. You got to know your audience, understand what they're looking for.
And the book mentions some other strategies too, right?
Yeah, beyond just organic social media,
Things like
influencer marketing,
event marketing, ads on streaming services,
brand collaborations.
even creating collectible items.
The underlying principle is to find those areas where attention is currently undervalued
Where the competition is a little less fierce.
and then execute effectively.
So it's about being...
It's strategic.
There's that word again, strategic.
It's about knowing your audience, knowing the platforms, and knowing how to create content that resonates.
Okay, so it's not just about showing up. It's about showing up in the right way, in the right places.
Precisely.
And I remember another idea from the author's previous work, jab, 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 right hook.
Ah, classic.
Does that philosophy still hold up in today's social media world?
It does, but with some important nuances.
Okay, break it down for me.
The core idea is still the same. You want to provide value up front before you ask for anything in return.
The jabs are the valuable content.
The right hook is your ask, your call to action.
But things have evolved, haven't they?
They have. The biggest shift, the one that's really impacting you now, is the rise of what the book calls interest graph-led algorithms.
Interest graph. Okay, let's pause there for a second.
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
It's how platforms like TikTok decide what content to show you,
It's all about what you're interested in.
not just who you follow.
So how is that different from what we had before?
Previously, many platforms relied more on the social graph.
Okay, so social graph versus interest graph.
The social graph is about connections.
You see content from people you follow, pages you like,
The interest graph is about your behavior.
what you watch, what you like, what you comment on.
The algorithm is learning what you're into, even if you haven't explicitly told it.
So that's why I keep seeing those videos about...
Miniature donkeys.
Exactly. I've never followed any miniature donkey accounts, but the algorithm knows I can't resist those fluffy little guys.
And this shift to the interest graph has a huge implication for content creators.
Because it means
The quality of your content matters more than ever.
it's not just about how many followers you have.
If your content isn't relevant, if it doesn't resonate with the interests of the people the algorithm thinks might like it,
It's not going to get seen.
no matter how much you promote it,
So that explains why some of my posts get a ton of engagement.
and others just kind of...
Flop.
It's all about relevance.
And when the book talks about quality,
It's not necessarily about production value.
you don't need a fancy camera or a professional studio.
It's about whether the content is interesting to your target audience.
Does it provide value? Does it entertain? Does it inform?
If it does, the algorithm will reward you.
And I remember when TikTok first exploded onto the scene, it seems like anyone could get a ton of views.
The organic reach was insane.
The book describes it as,
Obnoxiously high.
but that's changed, hasn't it?
It has. The competition has increased.
So just showing up isn't enough anymore.
You have to be even more strategic.
Even more creative.
And that actually creates a big opportunity for smaller players.
For businesses, entrepreneurs, creators who might not have the huge marketing budgets of the big corporations.
Because if it's all about the quality of the content,
Not about who can shout the loudest.
then anyone can compete.
It's a more level playing field.
There's still a land grab happening,
For attention.
but the weapons have changed.
It's not about brute force anymore.
It's about finesse. It's about understanding the nuances of the game.
So understanding the interest graph is crucial.
Absolutely essential.
But how does it actually work?
It's like a giant, constantly evolving puzzle.
The algorithm is collecting data on everything you do.
Every video you watch, every comment, every scroll, every swipe,
It's building a profile of you.
of your interests, your preferences, your habits.
And then it uses that information to decide what to show you next.
It's trying to predict what you'll find engaging, what will keep you scrolling.
It's like a personalized entertainment system.
Designed to keep you hooked.
And for content creators, this means
Your views can vary wildly
even if you have a consistent number of followers,
because it's not just about your audience size anymore.
it's about how well your content matches the interests of the people the algorithm thinks might be interested. So a post that might do really well with one group of people,
Might totally bomb with another.
even if they're both following you.
That's the power of the interest graph.
It's hyper-personalized.
And it's constantly changing.
So how do brands actually create content that wins in this environment?
The book stresses the importance of relevance.
Relevance, relevance, relevance.
The more relevant your content is to the individual user
The more likely it is to get seen.
and shared and engaged with.
And the beauty of these algorithms is that brands can experiment so much faster now.
You don't have to wait months for a campaign to launch to see if it works.
You can put out content daily
Test different ideas, different approaches,
and see what resonates.
and then use that data to inform your future content.
It's a much more agile way of working.
And the book gives some great examples of how brands can use content to test the waters.
Like with mascots, for example.
Remember the Geico gecko?
How could I forget?
They didn't just come up with the gecko overnight.
They tested different ideas.
They put out content featuring different potential mascots.
And the gecko was the one that resonated.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
And for e-commerce businesses, you can use content to gauge interest in new products.
Before you invest in manufacturing,
Show samples, get feedback, see what people are excited about.
it's market research in real time.
And even local businesses, like restaurants, can test out new menu items.
Through social media posts, polls, Q&As.
It's about using content as a conversation starter.
A way to engage with your audience and get valuable feedback.
And the book introduces this PAC framework. What's the thinking behind that?
PAXI stands for Platforms and Culture.
Okay, so the P is for platforms.
The C is for culture.
And the A.
That's just there to make it sound catchy.
The marketing mind at work.
But seriously, understanding both platforms and culture is crucial for creating effective content.
So on the platform side, what do we need to know?
It's about understanding the different creative formats available on each platform.
Like reels, stories, carousels.
Knowing the technical nuances, the optimal lengths, the best practices.
So what works on TikTok might not work on LinkedIn.
Exactly. Each platform has its own language, its own rhythm.
And you need to speak that language fluently.
To connect with the audience there.
And what about the culture side of things?
That's about understanding your target audience.
What are they interested in? What are they talking about? What are their values?
What influencers do they follow? What memes do they share? What language do they use?
It's about getting inside their heads.
Understanding their world.
So PAC is like your compass.
It helps you navigate the ever-changing landscape of attention.
You need to know the terrain, platforms, and the people you're trying to reach. Culture.
And then you can start to create content that resonates.
Content that's strategically designed to capture and hold attention.
And the book calls this strategic organic content, or SOC.
SOC. Okay, another acronym.
But this one's important.
Because it emphasizes that every detail matters.
It's not just about posting randomly.
It's about being intentional with every element of your content.
The first 3 seconds of your video.
The wording of your caption.
Any text you overlay on the screen.
The overall length.
All of these things can impact how well your content performs.
And your understanding of PAC directly informs your SOC strategy.
Because you're using your knowledge of the platforms and your audience to create content that's specifically designed to resonate with them.
So how do you actually figure out what kind of SOC to create?
The book recommends doing your research.
Becoming a digital anthropologist.
Spend time on the platforms.
Use the search function, explore relevant hashtags, see what's working for others in your niche.
Pay attention to the formats, the styles, the language.
It's about observation, experimentation, and iteration.
You're constantly learning and refining your approach.
So you've put out some strategic organic content, and hopefully it's starting to gain traction.
What's next?
The book talks about turning success into amplification.
That's where paid advertising comes in.
So you've got a piece of content that's doing well organically.
It's getting a lot of views, engagement, maybe even driving sales.
Now you want to put some fuel on the fire?
You can run it as a targeted ad on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram.
Reach a wider audience.
You can repurpose it for different platforms.
Collaborate with influencers.
Create more polished, modern commercials based on what you've learned.
The key is to leverage the success you've already had.
And use paid advertising to amplify it.
And the book stresses the importance of listening to your audience.
Throughout this entire process.
Pay attention to the comments, the feedback, the conversations happening around your content.
Because it's a goldmine of insights.
You can learn what's resonating, what's not.
Get ideas for new content, new products, new collaborations, and even refine your understanding of your audience.
The book describes audience segments or cohorts as being like an accordion.
They can expand, contract, even shift entirely based on what you learn.
So your initial assumptions about who your target audience is might be wrong.
And that's okay.
You're constantly learning, adapting, refining your understanding.
The book gives a great example of this with a card trick creator
who needed to reach a different demographic to sell out his show in Vegas.
He realized that his existing audience, primarily young males,
wasn't going to fill a theater in Vegas.
He needed to reach a different segment.
46-year-old mothers in Chicago.
Who might be more likely to bring their families to a show in Vegas.
So he completely shifted his content strategy.
To appeal to that new cohort.
And it worked.
And the book really stresses the importance of defining a high volume of very specific cohorts.
Instead of just a few broad ones.
Because the more narrowly you define your cohorts,
the more relevant your content can be. Broad cohorts lead to generic content.
Which doesn't really resonate with anyone.
But narrow cohorts allow you to create content that's truly tailored to their specific interests.
And that's what cuts through the noise.
Even for luxury brands, right?
Absolutely. The book addresses this concern that some luxury brands have about creating content for a wider audience.
Worried about diluting their brand image.
But the point is that you can create content that appeals to a broader range of people without sacrificing quality or exclusivity.
It's about finding the right message, the right tone, the right format.
For each specific audience.
So well-defined, narrow cohorts are the key to creating more effective content.
It's about being laser-focused.
Okay, so we've talked about the big picture stuff.
The platforms, the algorithms, the importance of relevance.
Now let's dive into some specific platforms.
Let's get tactical.
Let's start with TikTok. What are the keys to success there?
On TikTok, the first 3 seconds are everything.
That's your window to grab attention.
You need to hook people immediately.
Use intriguing titles, strong visuals, address your target audience directly.
TikTok's search function is also a goldmine.
You can use it to research trends, see what's working for others.
And don't forget about engagement.
Like, comment, follow other creators.
Participate in the community.
And be willing to experiment with different formats.
TikTok is all about creativity and innovation.
So TikTok is all about that initial hook, trend research, and genuine engagement.
Exactly.
What about Instagram? It's got a lot of different features, right?
It does. You've got reels, stories, traditional image posts, carousels, live streams, broadcast channels.
A whole smorgasbord of content options.
The key is to use them strategically.
Reels are great for reaching new audiences.
Stories and carousels are better for engaging your existing followers.
Live streams offer real-time interaction.
Broadcast channels allow for more personalized communication.
So it's about choosing the right tool for the job.
And using them all effectively.
Okay, so on Instagram, a strategic mix-and-match approach is key.
Mix it up, keep it fresh.
What about X?
The artist formerly known as Twitter.
Definitely got a different vibe.
X is the digital town square.
It's where people go to share their opinions, react to the news, engage in debates.
It's a great place to listen.
Use the advanced search functions to see what people are talking about.
And participate in the conversations that are relevant to your brand.
It's also a good platform for customer service.
Provide quick responses, resolve issues publicly.
And create those surprise and delight moments.
Like sending a freebie to a loyal follower.
So on X, it's about being present, being responsive, and being part of the community.
Exactly.
Now, what about LinkedIn? It's often seen as the more professional platform.
It is, but it's also a great place to build relationships and share valuable content.
The book compares it to Facebook in 2012.
Back when organic reach was much higher.
So there's still an opportunity there to reach a large audience without spending a lot on ads.
The key is to focus on providing value, building trust, and establishing yourself as an expert in your field.
So less about hard selling.
More about building genuine connections.
Okay, so on LinkedIn, focus on relationships and valuable content.
Exactly.
What about Facebook? Is it still relevant?
It is. The book points out that organic reach on Facebook has actually made a comeback.
Really?
Thanks in part to Reels and the evolution of their interest-based algorithm.
So there's still potential there.
Explore different creative formats, see what's working.
And engage in relevant Facebook groups.
It's a great way to connect with people who share your interests.
So don't write off Facebook just yet.
It's still a powerful platform.
Okay, what about YouTube? It's all about video, right?
It is, and YouTube offers incredible analytics.
You can track everything.
Click-through rates, audience retention, watch time.
It's a data goldmine.
Use that data to optimize your videos.
See what's working, what's not.
And don't be afraid to tell stories.
Long-form content can still be successful on YouTube.
If it's engaging and well-produced.
So on YouTube, data-driven optimization and compelling storytelling are key.
Exactly.
And finally, Snapchat. What's the deal there?
Snapchat is definitely more youth-oriented. It's primarily a messaging platform.
But it's worth maintaining a presence there if your target audience aligns with their user base.
Adapt your content from other platforms.
Experiment with their unique features, like the AR Lens Builder.
It might not be a top priority for all businesses, but it's worth exploring.
Okay, so we've got a good overview of the major platforms.
Now let's talk about some specific content examples.
Things that actually work.
Things you can implement in your own business.
The book talks about leveraging trends authentically.
Like Target did with their viral video.
They tapped into a popular trend.
But they did it in a way that felt genuine to their brand.
Creating memorable mascots is another great strategy.
Think about Tubby Nugget.
That little nugget of joy.
They've built a whole brand around a mascot.
And people love it.
Tapping into evergreen themes is also powerful.
Things that are always relevant, always relatable.
Like McDonald's did with their campaign about childhood memories.
It's about finding those universal human experiences.
And connecting with your audience on an emotional level.
The book also mentions the effectiveness of using text overlaid on visual backgrounds.
Like the content from At the Open Invite.
It's simple, it's eye-catching, it's shareable.
And those engaging street interview formats.
Like Humans of New York.
Yeah.
It's about capturing those authentic, real-life moments.
That resonate with people.
And for those of you who are podcast fans,
think about those well-delivered ad reads.
the ones that feel like a natural part of the conversation.
Like the example from the Pat McAfee show.
Or those modern commercials that are actually entertaining.
Like Reiner's hilarious videos.
It's about making advertising that people actually want to watch.
Not something they want to skip or mute.
The book also talks about creating content that incorporates multiple activities.
Like a creator doing their makeup while sharing tips and tricks.
Or the idea of a double sync podcast.
Where two people are doing different activities while recording.
It's about adding an extra layer of engagement.
Giving people multiple reasons to stay tuned in.
And for businesses, using content to test out product ideas is a great strategy.
Get feedback in real time. See what resonates. And don't underestimate the power of memes.
Even on professional platforms like LinkedIn.
Memes can be a great way to connect with your audience and show off your brand's personality.
The book also emphasizes the value of user-generated content.
It's authentic, it's relatable, and it can be incredibly powerful.
Short skits that illustrate relatable scenarios.
The green screen format for commentary and reactions.